Just wear the garment. If it's all blue and you covered it with this dye, then why would you need strings at all? What she was saying is, if somebody is great himself, then why do we need to look up to others for greatness? She said also like this, if you have a mezuzah on the door, you know we put a mezuzah on the door? She says, if a house is filled with books, Jewish books in it, and it's filled with many Torah books in it, does that house need a mezuzah?
Yes.
Yes, Moses says. And he said yes about the tzitzit too. He says, why? What's the mezuzah for? To remind you? But the whole house is covered in books. Doesn't matter. You still need to have a mezuzah on the outdoor. Why? Moses says, because that's what God wants. Meaning, no matter how great you are, always have a hierarchy. No matter how great you think you are, your whole house is filled with books, there should always be someone you look up to. That's what Moses said. And then Moses answers Korach. He says, I'm not looking for this job. I didn't ask for it. I actually said I don't want it. What are you saying? Why are you fighting with me? And he says, please stop. And Korach still fights. And it was very much to do with Korach going home and speaking it with his wife. And she encouraged together him and his wife in their home, in that Jewish home, when it was closed doors. He was complaining, and she was encouraging, and then it built up for months on end. A whole fight built up until it was like exploded. And there was 250 members of very, very important people that joined Korach. And they said, he's right. Maybe Moses is making stuff up. Why is he thinking he's the greatest? And they started fighting against Moses. And then there was another guy that joined this fight, and his name was On. On, the son of Pelet. Now, this guy On was never going to be a leader either way. And that's exactly what his wife told him. He comes home and he says, I'm joining Korach. He's got good points. He's a great man. And he's got questions to Moses. And I'm joining the fight. I'm joining the rebellion. So his wife says, why are you doing this? Don't join tomorrow. Don't go to the fight. Well, either way, you're never going to win. If Moses remains the leader, so Moses is the leader. If Korach is the leader, your friend, so he's going to be the leader. Either way, you're never going to be the leader. So what do you care? Why are you joining this for? And she said, come, let's drink some wine. And they had some good wine, and arak, whatever it was. And he drank well, and he fell asleep. And he slept deep, and late at night, extremely early in the morning, his wife said, you know what, I'm going to make sure that no one comes to get him and wake him up. So she sits outside her tent, together with her daughter, and they undo their hair. And they sit there, started doing their hair. And because they were doing that, when Korach was about to pull off the big rebellion against Moses, he says, go and get that guy On, my friend, On. He's a good guy, go and get him. And they go to the members of Korach, the friends of Korach, say, okay, let's go and get On. And they go to get him, but they see outside the tent that his wife is doing her hair. And their daughter too, they're doing their hair, and they're making themselves, so they're like, oh, this is uncomfortable, we're not going to go in there. And they walked away. And because of that, this guy On Ben Pelet was saved from the whole fight that happened. And we know in the story, this great fight happened. Korach and his whole group, they died. There was a big fight that happened and they died. But On Ben Pelet was saved. Why was he saved? Because of the wisdom of his wife. And the rabbis say, Chochmat Nashim Banta Beita. The wisdom of a woman can build a home. Ve'ivelet biyadea tarsena. But a foolish person can destroy their home in their own hands. How does it happen? A home is built through positive, good values in the house. When in the house, we make sure that we're not complaining about other people. That's when a Jewish home is being built. But outside of that, if we allow ourselves, because in the home, it's the quiet place, it's an intimate place. In that space, it could be the most dangerous place or the most amazing place. Marriage can either go like this, or it can go like that. And it's one way or the other. It's because you're in a closed door space with someone you're so close to, together you can be complaining all day. Every time you meet each other. Oh, you heard about that guy? What an idiot. This one? Oh, what an idiot. You could be doing that all day. Or the opposite. All day you can be, not all day, you both work, but at some point, whenever you're home, whenever you're with each other, you can make it a space of growth. And in Judaism, that's what marriage is meant to be. The goal of marriage is growing, just like every other aspect of Judaism. The goal of it is to grow as a person. So my question should always be, do I want to build a Jewish home? Do I want to grow as a person? Do I want to grow as a Jew? So that's the story of On ben Pelet. His wife versus Korach's wife. Korach's wife said every time her husband came home, she joined into the fight. She said, yeah, you're right, it's a problem. And every time On ben Pelet, this guy came home, his wife said, why are you getting involved? What's the point? Why are you getting involved in that fight? And that's a good relationship. A good relationship is when sometimes there's opposition, but for the good reasons. I'm not saying it's a fight. She didn't fight with him. She gave him some arak. She said, drink, enjoy. But it was a place of elevation. And that's what a relationship should do. If anyone's here looking to date, it should be, I'm looking to date so I can grow as a person with somebody else that I'm committed to. And building a home with somebody that I'm committed to. It's important to know what the goal is. A lot of times we're so busy caught in the dating world, we forget what it means, what we're dating for. Which is why I feel like this conversation is so important. Because we need to know what a Jewish home is. It's a temple. It's holy. Do you know where the Holy of Holies is in your house? The bedroom. The bedroom is the Holy of Holies because that's when children are being made. In Judaism, that's a beautiful thing. It's not a downgraded thing. It's the most beautiful thing. In its right place, in the right time, it's the most beautiful thing. Because a home is a temple. That's what you're building. You're building a whole world. And that's what this whole, what's the temple for? It's about growth. So too is a home. It's about growth. Okay. The temple was called 3 different things by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham called the temple, this is a Gemara in Pesachim. Abraham called the temple a mountain. He called it a mountain. Everyone goes up to it. It's a mountain that everyone looks up to. That should be the goal of yours as well. To find someone that you love, that you work together in growing with, but also you're on the top of the mountain together. A place where people look up to. Just like the mountain of the temple. It was on a mountain. Okay? Isaac called it a field. He called it a field. What happens in a field? Anyone know? What do you do in a field? You grow. You grow produce. Does it take time to grow things? Huh? Yes. Of course it does. Nothing grows immediately and you have to work hard. You have to take out the thorns. You can't just leave it. If you leave it, everything falls apart. You have to make sure there's no animals coming in destroying it. You have to continuously look after a field. It's a lot of work to have a field. There was someone in my shul that used to own a farm, and he had also orchards and many trees, and he was growing a lot of fruit. He was tired every day. Whenever he used to come to shul, he was tired, and he felt good and happy, but he was tired. It's a lot of work. Marriage is work. Okay, it's like a field. And finally, Jacob called it a house. What does the house do? What's the function of a house? Why do we have houses?
Shelter, to
Protect from the external, right? It's a good question, by the way. We're in LA, Why not RVs? Right? Why do we have a house? So protection, that's one.
Now I have freeway underpasses.
Huh?
We have freeway underpasses.
What does that mean?
So where you can sleep.
Oh. Okay, so look. it gives protection. Do you know what else a home does? What it's meant to do? It's meant to build a sense of unity. Since we're closed off from the rest of the world, now we can really be united. It's a level of unity that happens in a home, that's meant to happen in a home. Unfortunately, a lot of times the opposite happens. But there's meant to be a level of unity that happens in the house that can never happen outside. It's because the doors are closed. It's meant to be a space of oneness. By the way, love in Hebrew is Ahava, is the same gematria as Echad. Same numerical value as one. The way to achieve love is when you feel one with someone. Oneness. Oneness is love. When you feel so one with this person, then you feel love. That's why whenever there's an argument, my oneness is being hurt. So I don't like that. And it bothers you. But love, by definition, should feel the feeling of one with that person. Just like when I hurt one arm, the other arm doesn't go, hey, idiot, what are you doing? Right? Because I'm all one. That's how I should feel with the person I love as well. Okay, so unity is happening in a place called the house. That's why Jacob called the temple unity. And by the way, Jacob was the one that was right. Meaning, it's true, it's called a mountain, it's true, it's called a field, but they said, Jacob, that's the right way. He's the one that gave it the right title. He called it a house. Okay? So a house brings unity, but also it separates you from the world. What happens in the world? It's scary. What else is happening in the world? It says that this world is full of lies. If you walk around the world, not to be negative, but reality is that falsehood is more common in the streets than truth. If you walk around the streets, you'll find falsehood everywhere. Honesty and truth, that's rare. To see someone who's genuinely honest and true and real truth, that's rare to see. Most of what you see is falsehood, including physical things. They are all, by definition, they're not long-lasting. Truth, by definition, means something that's lasting forever. So falsehood is something which is very, very easy to find. So in your home, you have walls, and that's meant to separate you from the falsehood outside. It's meant to be a place of values. Okay? That's what a home is. A home is meant to be a place where I stay strong with my values. I do not care what's popular, what's trendy, what other people are doing. I'm doing what's valuable. Okay? How do they say? How do you know if a fish is alive in the water? What's the great sign that a fish is alive in the water? If it swims against the current. If it goes against the flow. Then you know, that fish is alive. It doesn't take itself out the water. Can't be crazy. But if it goes against the flow, it's a sign it's alive. Okay, so a real relationship is growth. A real relationship is building unity. And a real relationship separates you from the rest of the world. Okay, finally, I'm going to tell you a bunch of things that you need to ask yourself. Maybe you should write this down, or I can send it to the group. That you should ask yourself when you're dating. Okay, 8 questions that you should ask when you are dating someone, and it would really give you clarity instead of wasting your time just dating again and again and again. Really give you clarity about this person. Okay, question number 1. Can I identify 4 positive character traits that I really respect in my partner? Positive, giving, responsible, honest, committed. Now, I know that this sounds obvious, but a lot of times I ask this to people that are dating for a while, and I say, can you give me, you've been dating so long, what are the real positive traits that you really like about this person? And they can't name 4. And that's a big problem, because you don't want to just be physically attracted to someone. That's very important. Physical attraction is very important. That's one of the questions. But you also need to be able to list 4 characters in this person that you appreciate. Because one day you'll marry them, her or him, and separate people. Yeah. One day you'll marry that person and you'll ask this question. Why wasn't I thinking? If you didn't find the 4 character traits that are positive in this person, you will ask that question. Okay, so number 1, what 4 character traits do I deeply respect in my partner? Number 2, do we genuinely appreciate each other's values? Okay? Not just what are they, but do I really, really appreciate them? Okay? Maybe their work style. Do I really like this style of work? Am I able to appreciate what they're doing? Okay? Or their religious level. Do I really appreciate them for who they are? I understand that they're growing, but for where they are right now, do I appreciate them? Okay? Do I know my partner's goals? And do I want to help them getting there? His goal is to build a family and, to live in this country. And okay, is it something I want to do? And do I appreciate their goal? Do I want to join it? She wants to become a doctor. But I don't think a doctor's a good idea for a mother, some people might say. Because she's going to be too busy at night. Well, that's a problem. If that's what he says, that's a problem. He's not appreciating my goals. This is a goal for me. This is what I feel I'm good at. And this is my purpose. This is what I've invested so much in. So if he doesn't appreciate my goals, that's a red flag. Okay, so do I know my partner's goals? And do I want to help them also getting there? Will I be supportive of their journey? Number 4, have we discussed challenges together? And how do we handle them? There are differences and there are challenges. How do we deal with those differences? Meaning, there are issues. Am I willing to talk and figure them out together? Or does it always end up with, I don't know, this is just not for me, and walks off? Okay? Or is this something that we're really willing to work on together? Number 5, do I know at least one flaw in my partner? And can I live with it lovingly? This is a question I need to ask. Is there something that's not perfect that I know about this partner? Because to see a perfect person is living in an illusion. That's a big problem. No one is perfect. Can I see something that's not perfect in them? And am I willing to continue living with that forever? Okay? That doesn't mean that they can't change. Maybe. But do I see any flaws in them? And am I willing? I don't need you to give me a list of 20. That's a red flag. Just one. Okay? Do I feel a physical and emotional attraction? And is it mutual? Sometimes he feels a lot of attraction, but she doesn't. That's a problem. Okay, so do I feel physical and emotional attraction? And is it mutual? Not just do I feel it, but does she? What's the point in getting into a relationship where only you enjoy the relationship, but the other person can't stand your guts? Right? Does that make sense? No. So don't even bother. Right? This is one of the great things that's very important. Whenever you're dating someone and you know they're absolutely not attracted to you, and you've already discovered that, why are you still pushing for this relationship? It has to be mutual. A relationship has to be mutual, reciprocal. Am I growing and is my partner growing? Are we both working on ourselves? Because remember, we can't be 90 and say we're going to get married. We are young, imperfect, and we're getting married because our goal of marriage is to grow together. So the question is, am I growing and is this person growing? We're not in the same place, but are we both growing? I understand where the person I'm dating is, but are we both growing? Okay, and finally, is this a person I want to build a home with? Not just someone I like to date with. See the bigger picture. Then I know I'm asking a good question. Is this not just the person I enjoy dating with? Is this a person I want to build a home with? Okay, these questions may seem very obvious, but they're very important. One more time. What 4 character traits do I really respect in my partner? Do we genuinely appreciate each other's values? Do I know my partner's goals? Do I want to help them get there? Number 4, have we discussed challenges and how can we handle conflict? Number 5, do I know at least one flaw in my partner and can I live with it lovingly? Number 6, do I feel a physical and emotional attraction? Is it mutual? Is it coming from the other side also? Number 7, am I working on myself? And is my partner also growing as well? Is this someone, and number 8, is this someone I want to build a home with, not just someone I like to date? Okay? So that's the goal of a Jewish home. A Jewish home is a place of growth. A Jewish home is a mountain that people want to look up to. A Jewish home is like a field where you grow in it. And I want to bless everyone here that you should also be able to find your home. But never lose track. Never lose focus of your target. That's the target. I want to build a home of love, of growth, someone that's going to grow with me, a place of bringing a light. What was the temple? The temple would shine light outwards. It would give so much light to the whole Jerusalem. That's what it says. People would see the light of the temple far, far away from it. What does that teach me? That your home should be the same. It should be a place where there's so much growth happening that it's giving light externally to the world. Okay, that should be the focus goal. And by the way, never give up on that. Okay, I want to tell you one more thing, a story. This is mind-blowing. Just a story that came out on H.com recently by a lady by the name of Ariel Goldstein. She got married at 32. She's from Brooklyn. And she faced every type of rejection. When she was a young little girl, she had 2 strokes. And she was paralyzed on one side of her body for the rest of her life. She lost her hearing in one ear. And by 18, because of her family and the situation, you can read the story, I'll send you the link after. By the age of 18, she already lived in almost 20 different locations. But she never gave up. She kept saying, there's so many nice people around everywhere I go. And she kept choosing to see the light in people. Every single time she went down, fell in terms of emotionally, she saw it as a chance to go up, like the Baal Shem Tov says. A yerida l'tzorech aliyah. Every fall that you have is actually a push, which is going to take you up higher in the future. At 21, she decided to start dating, and dating seriously. But it wasn't easy for her. It took her till the age of 32, the same year that her mum passed away. And that year, when her mum passed away, she started getting depressed and very, very broken. But she went to a therapist, and she even became a therapist herself. And she learned about this idea called self-determination in therapy, which means I define my own path, not all the negative voices that tell me. If my values are right, I will define them, obviously through Judaism. I will define them and I'll stick to them. She dated people that said, you are overweight and ugly. She dated someone that was very, very wealthy and said to her, can you not just accept some red flags? And she was very, very challenged all along. But eventually she found that one at the age of 32. He wasn't perfect, but he was respectful. He was someone that appreciated all of her past. Not looked down on her, but saw all of her past and said, wow, with all what you did, you're still who you are. You still studied, you still came a teacher, you still came whatever it is. With everything you went through, that's someone that you should have in your life too. Not someone that looks at your past as your flaws, but looks at your past and says, you managed to overcome your past and still be who you are. That's the person you need. Someone who will respect you. And eventually, she got married. Okay? And she says herself, every tear, God counts. Every step that you journey in life, whether it's dating, being rejected, not being rejected, being answered, but then dating for too long, every step in your life is a win. Because you are worth everything, and you are everything to God. This is her words. Irrelevant of what other people say about you. Never give up your values for the sake of getting something or moving forward in life. That's not what Judaism says. You are not less, or less valuable because you are not yet in a position you want to be in. I'm not married, so therefore I'm worth less. And my dating isn't working, so therefore I'm worth less. It's not true. Every step you're on is a journey of your life, and you're getting somewhere greater and greater every single day. And marriage itself is growth. Marriage itself is not just you marry and therefore it's all easy. No, that in itself is the ultimate level of growth. It's a temple. I'm telling you, when somebody goes into marriage with this mindset, I'm here to grow, there's less expectations. Of course, you have fun, you enjoy yourself, you have an amazing life also. Marriage is having your best friends with you, someone you're intimate with, someone that you can talk to, someone that's always there to listen to you. It's amazing. And that's what we want. But never think that until you get to that point, you are worth less. You will get there. Right? We just had Ariel Berkowitz here for Shabbat 2 weeks ago. Ariel has no legs. And he got married, and he said, he told me he was only suggested other girls with a similar situation as his. But every time he went out, they weren't in the same position as his. And he says, if I have someone with no legs also, how are we ever going to, just physically, how are we ever going to survive? Like, we can't move around the house. It's going to be impossible. He said, it just doesn't work. And he dated a girl from H-Net, and she married him. And, everyone, and his message, and Rebecca also, his wife, his message is that everyone, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Everyone can eventually get the right person. Never think to yourself that for me, it's never going to happen. For me, it's not going to work out. For me, I don't know, I'm different. It's never going to work out. This is a mistake. This is a real mistake in faith. Everyone has a journey, everyone has a path, and that path will happen in its time. And every step, every day that you go through is another step of growth. Okay. Are there any questions? Yes.
In an ideal situation, should it be a man or a woman who's more religious?
It doesn't matter, because you'll never have two people that are the same religious level. Never. What does matter is that you're both growing. And what does matter is that one side is not becoming more religious just for the other person, but genuinely because they're interested. And it's a little tricky, because if someone's doing it just for the person they're dating, it's a problem. It has to be really coming from a place of real, genuine growth. And I've seen that happen. I've seen it happen that people that are religious date someone that wasn't very religious at all. They were very genuinely interested, and together they grew, and it worked. The main thing is both go. Do you know what does happen? You can have someone from a very religious background who's going like this, and then meets up with someone that never grew up with a Jewish background at all, never grew up with Shabbat, nothing, and they're growing like this, and they suddenly meet on the same path. The problem is that person's going this way, and this person's going that way. That will not work. For anyone here, if you come from a background that's traditional, but with not much of a religious background, and you date someone from the more religious community, be very careful. You have to make sure that if they're from the religious community and they're dating you without much Jewish background, you have to ask the question, why are they doing that? Are they coming down, or are they growing too? Is that person, if you're both going this way, it can work. Yes?
There are shadchanim that will match people all over the world, and sometimes that's good, and sometimes there's a cultural clash. What do you think about two people from very different parts of the world dating and somehow making that work?
So it depends on who the people are, and I'll tell you what I mean. Do they both have very strong values? You see, in the religious community, it can work very well. You know why? Because we both do Shabbat, we both do very similar things. We both grow up in a home doing similar things. It's irrelevant of where I'm living. So it really, my answer to you is, if that's happening, both really need to do research and see, are we really similar before we even try? similarities in terms of, obviously dating as well will take a lot more work, but are there similarities in terms of the way we grew up? Not necessarily, yes, there will be a lot of challenges in culture and differences, there will be differences, but do we see a lot of similarities also?
Can I add something?
Yes. Please do.
Actually, from our experience, because I'm Israeli, English, that's how when we met, you would like to say it's Israeli, but it's so it was definitely culture shock, even for my family. He wasn't even speaking Hebrew. Everything they said, he said yes. So I would say if someone chooses to date someone from a different culture, it could works for us, but it's a lot more that you need to put in terms of like, oh, maybe like he or she said this. It wasn't necessarily like to go at me or to offend me. Maybe you should learn about their culture, what the expectations are, what's normal before we get like all heated up about what he didn't or she didn't, or because cultures are different and expectations are different. Once that happens, I think the sky's the limit. It's obviously, people would say it's obviously nicer to date within your own culture, American, Sephardi, or Ashkenazi. Some people are very into that. Some are more open. But I was very open-minded, and I was like, sure, I don't mind. I'm happy to learn about new cultures, and I'll be needed to bridge a lot of gaps.
Okay, so yes, Shira, thank you. She's always, when we do the dating series, I'm desperate for Shira to throw her input because it's always so much more wisdom than me. But just want to know that you listened to at least something. What's a Jewish home? A temple? A place for growth? A place for unity? Perfect. Right, remember it's a mountain where people look up to? Okay, that should be also something that you'll have one day. Okay, I bless you with a Bayit Ne'eman B'Yisrael. You should build a beautiful Jewish home. And it should be very soon. Amen.